You're not stuck. You're just living someone else's ceiling. You're not lazy. You know that, right? You've read the books. You've set the goals. You've started the plan, maybe more than once. And somehow, here you are again. Different year, different opportunity, same amount of progress, same ceiling. And the frustrating part isn't the ceiling itself. It's that you can see it. You're smart enough to see it, and you still can't break through. That's not a motivation problem. That's an identity problem. And today, I want to show you exactly why. We live in the most resource-rich moment in human history. More information, more tools, more access than any generation before us. And yet, look around. Plenty of people drowning in opportunity, achieving nothing. And then there's the other kind, the Colonel Sanders story. 65 years old, broke, starting over, and building something the whole world knows. Helen Keller. Einstein, who dropped out at 15 and failed his university entrance exam.
These people didn't have more resources. They had a different relationship with themselves. So if the answer isn't resources, and it clearly isn't, then we have to ask a harder question. What actually determines the ceiling? Here's what's actually happening inside the machine. Your brain, specifically that frontal lobe, the part that does conscious reasoning, operates in the background of your life. It's on maybe 5% of the time. The other 95%, you're running on patterns, habits, programming you didn't consciously install. Think of it like this. Your conscious mind is an ant, hardworking, determined, marching north toward every goal you've set. But that ant is walking on the back of an elephant. You're unconscious, and that elephant is heading south. That's why motivation fades. That's why willpower runs dry. You're not weak. You're just outnumbered.
And then there's environment. Your intention, no matter how strong, will eventually lose to the environment you live in. Always. That's not pessimism. That's just how the brain works. It adapts. It conforms. It takes the path of least resistance. You can read positive affirmations every morning, but if you spend your evenings around people who remind you why it won't work, eventually you'll believe them. Now here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. That programming, the 95% running in the background, most of it was written before you were 7 years old, before your brain even had a critical filter. Think about a child in a supermarket. Dad's distracted, stressed, overwhelmed. Kid sees a toy, asks for it. Dad snaps, "You don't deserve it. You haven't been good enough today." He forgets about it in 30 seconds. The kid doesn't. That child doesn't hear frustration. He hears, "I'm not good enough. I'm not worth it. I don't deserve it."
People will never rise above the opinion they have of themselves. And that opinion, formed in childhood from the people we most wanted love from, becomes the invisible ceiling. Not a strategy problem, not a skills gap, an identity. So when success approaches, when the opportunity lands, when the big moment comes, something in you quietly engineers a reason to walk away from it. Not because you're afraid of failure, because you're afraid of proving that ceiling wrong. I want to speak directly to those of you who are 10, 15, 20 years into a career. You've built something, maybe not everything you wanted, but something. And starting over, or going bigger, or even admitting you're stuck, it all carries a cost. Because it's not just about the future anymore. It's about protecting the story of the past. If I pivot now, what does that say about everything before? If I admit this ceiling exists, what does that mean about the choices I've already made?
That's ego protection, and it's completely understandable, and it is slowly killing your potential. The procrastination you think is laziness, it's avoidance. The self-sabotage you can't explain, it's the unconscious protecting an identity that no longer serves you. The "I work better under pressure," It's a story you've told so many times it feels like a personality trait. You're not broken. You're just loyal to an old version of yourself that didn't know what you know now. So, what do you actually do? 3 things, and I'll keep them simple because simple is what gets used. First, stop putting the wrong things in. The news isn't informing you, it's programming you. The media's job is to activate the part of your brain that notices threat, so you keep watching. If you're consuming that daily and wondering why your default setting is anxious and negative, there's your answer. Second, start deliberately putting the right things in. Podcasts, books, the lives of people who've done what you want to do. Not to copy them, to recalibrate what feels possible, to magnetize your compass needle toward a new north.
And third, and this is the one most people skip, get the old programming out. That means working with someone who can see the pattern beneath the behavior. Not just give you new skills, but reach into the unconscious and rework what's running on repeat. Because the man who thinks he needs time management might actually just need to learn how to say no, because saying no triggers a fear of rejection that was installed 40 years ago. Before you spend another penny on workshops or skills, work on yourself. I want to leave you with one question, not to inspire you, just to sit with. What if the ceiling you've been bumping against isn't made of circumstances, but of a story about yourself that you've never questioned? Think about that. I'll see you next time.